Hello and welcome to the North Bank podcast. Happy Invincible Day if you celebrate.
Is there a St. Invincible somewhere in the same
we'll
way?
We'll have to have
St. Totteringham.
we should, two new saints, St. Totteringham and St. Invincible. Well, anyway, happy Invincible Day.
Can we give him a little sort of Gallic spin because it happened under Wenger? So Invincible or something like that. Saint Invincible.
I'm telling you what, there's got to be one. There has to be one, I'm sure. Especially when it sounds as good as that.
Thanks, mate.
Right, okay. We are. What's the other? I could have opened with "We are top of the league." We are top of the league. Is it too soon?
We might close with that.
We'll close with that. Okay. Anyway,
I'll tell you what you could have done.
Hang on.
You could have introduced us. And you could have also told all our listeners around the world that if they want to follow us on other media platforms...
Where can they find us, Steph?
At North Bank Pod. We would really appreciate a subscribe on YouTube. We know a lot of people listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that kind of thing, but we do have the video available on YouTube. At North Bank Pod. I'm Steph, by the way.
I was getting around to it. I just thought it was worth noting, acknowledging the Invincibles.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Live another year. I thought that was worth more of a mention than introducing you two.
Fair enough.
I am your host, Holly, and I am joined by Stef and Chris.
Hello, mate.
The neglected Stef and Chris.
Hello.
It isn't a slow news day, is it? Well, we're going to talk about West Ham. Actually, we're going to talk about Arsenal as well. I'm going to talk about West Ham in particular. We had a very routine win on yesterday, at home to West Ham. Coincided, or again, like last weekend, Liverpool succumbed to another injury time defeat. Oh, chuckle. Oh no. And so from something that was like 10 days ago, we were realistically or conceivably looking down the barrel of an 8-point deficit before Liverpool went to Palace and we went to Newcastle. 10 days later, we have a 1-point cushion. Cushion. It's not really a cushion, is it? Is it a lead? Even?
Yeah.
What's the thinnest cushion you can get?
Like one of those pads that you have.
We have a 1-point bed sheet.
Yeah.
So we're sitting on 16 points, I think. Liverpool on 15 points. Spurs, is it Spurs and Bournemouth on 14 points?
Yeah.
And City on 13. I'll tell you what, I'd have taken that at the start of the season. When you look at our fixture list, we know we've got a series of relatively easy games. I say relatively easy compared to travelling to Anfield, travelling to Old Trafford, travelling to St James's Park, hosting Man City. So hopefully, wonderful foundation. Just before we talk about the game itself, which became the team selection debate kicking off beforehand, which was great. Just some stats. I'll start with some individual stats and I'll move on to... No, I'm going to start with some team stats. I could have got that right. And I'll move on to individual stats. So team stats. We've conceded 1 goal from open play in 10 matches. And look at the matches. I mean, away to Bilbao in the Champions League as well. That's not an easy task. 1 goal from open play. We've only conceded 3 goals in total from those. We have 7 clean sheets. And one of those was a worldie. What was the other goal? Haaland. Haaland was the other goal, yeah. We've conceded XG of 5.32 across all those games. I mean, miserly at the back, and then there's that. That's incredible. I think we've got the best defence in the Premier League at the moment. 3 goals conceded. Only Man City have scored more than us. I think they've got 15. We've got 14. And our goal difference is superior. It's plus 11 at the moment. So that's pretty good. We're 5 points better off in comparative games to this time last season. Not this time last season, to last season, sorry. I think that's... Well, we won at Newcastle, didn't we? And we beat West Ham. But then we only drew with Man City and we lost to Liverpool. What were the other games? Forest...
Well, Leeds, we're sort of having to
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, they would be one of the promoted sides from last season. Whoever that would have been, Leicester, Southampton, someone like that.
And you sent me this, or you sent us this graphic, Steph, and I've just written handbrake off ? We've had the most touches in the opposition. This is in the Premier League. We've had the most touches in the opposition box. We've had the most corners. Only City are averaging a better goals per game ratio. Now that was before today, and they only got 1 goal today. So actually, I think that's because only 1 goal difference between us. So I think we are now averaging the highest goals per game average, and only Palace and City have created more big chances than us. It's not, and we're having this great debate about why are Arsenal playing with the handbrake. I mean, Arteta does get a bit of stick unnecessarily from me, probably, because when you listen to statistics like that, to have all of those metrics by all those measurements in an attacking sense, and to still have maintained that defensive record is pretty stellar work. Individual stats: Saka's 200th game, that's his 100th goal and assist, 55 goals, 45 assists. He's the 8th, and I didn't look this up because I couldn't be bothered. He's the 8th person for Arsenal to do that. I'm assuming that's in the Premier League only. I'm sure there's maybe it is all time. I don't know. I might be doing him a disservice there. Not such a good stat. Odegaard, poor sod, first player in Premier League history to be substituted before half-time in 3 consecutive home games. Obviously not because of poor play. We'll talk about him in a minute. Arteta, that was Arteta's 300th game in charge. And listen to this list. Most wins for an English side in their first 300 games. It's tops by Pep on 219, Mourinho on 196, Dalglish on 185, and then Arteta and Klopp on 177. Now, Klopp hadn't won the Premier League either, I'm pretty sure, because his Premier League win didn't come straight away, did it?
No, it was later. I think his first season at Liverpool was, relatively mid-table. I think they finished outside of Europe. Big job to rebuild.
Because, Dalglish, Mourinho and Pep all won the league, so this is the season, Mikel. This is the season. Declan Rice is obviously an individual stat. He's got 38 goal and assists for us. He had 28 goal and assists for West Ham. He's played 132 fewer games for us.
Remarkable.
That's quite something. Just on Arteta, I shouldn't have gone off Arteta there. I've got 2 questions for you. One, just have a little think about this one. Who do you think has been Arteta's best signing? And it might be a pod idea for an international break, going through his signings. So who do you think has been his best signing? Just pause on that for a minute. Next question about Arteta. Can you name the starting 11 he selected on the 26th of December 2019 away at Bournemouth for his first game in charge? So his first team selection. Can you name his starting 11?
Do you want us to do that now?
Yeah, go on.
Right. Yeah, good answer. Petr Cech in goal.
No. Goalkeeper still playing in the Premier League.
It's
Fabianski.
what's his face?
No.
Fulham.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fulham's
Leno,
job.
burned Leno.
Yeah, Leno in goal.
Oh, okay.
The only player still in the squad was playing at left back that day, but he's not a left back.
Saka.
Yeah, Saka played at left back.
What's his chops? Guendouzi.
No.
Bellerin.
No.
Chambers.
David Luiz centre half.
David Luiz centre half. Yeah.
Socrates.
Yeah, other centre half. Yeah. Right back was an English player. Doesn't play in the country anymore. Yeah, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Yeah.
Xhaka.
Yeah, Xhaka and another player, defensive player, diminutive.
Torreira.
Yeah, Torreira.
Was it Torreira?
Good one.
So it was a 4-2-3-1 in those days.
It was a 4-2-3-1. Yeah. So the three across then.
Aubameyang.
Lacazette.
On the left, Lacazette's up front, and then you're
Pepe.
missing 2. Then you're missing the right hand side.
Pepe.
Actually, technically, he's still on our books.
Oh, Loney.
Yeah.
Is he a Loney? Nelson.
Yes, Reece Nelson.
Good one.
And the other player you're missing, you might have said it. I didn't. And I
Aubameyang?
missed it. No, you said him.
Oh.
Number 10. I don't know. That was his role. Number 10.
Ramsey.
Not very good on a Tuesday night away at Stoke.
Ozil.
Yeah.
Very good clue. He'd rather be at home playing Fortnite or whatever it is.
Yeah. That isn't that mad. That's his start. His 2019.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I always laugh at how sometimes other players even and coaches, but especially fans, talk about, well, Arteta's had this team for so long. It sort of overlooks the amount of change that we've had. And, even this summer with the additions.
Yeah, eight new signings.
It's constant flux, isn't it? And he's adapting to it.
He's an evolutionary manager. He evolves continuously, which is good, unlike a couple of other big name managers we could laugh at. I mentioned, sorry. Who do you think his best signing's been?
Well, I'll chuck my name in. I think Rice, not just because of the price, but because of what it meant in terms of everyone would have had Declan Rice. It was a sign of intent. I feel like landing a player like that on the up in his prime. It wasn't like a kind of a squad signing. It was a marquee signing, and it just made a huge statement. And the kind of rest is history.
We don't have many of those signings, do we? I mean, Ozil was one. Sanchez, was he one at the time?
Ish.
Who else? I mean, obviously you go back to Sol Campbell and Dennis Bergkamp. And
what's been nice is where they've brought them in and then they've flourished with us, like Henry and Bergkamp to an extent. Rice has definitely kicked on. So that's what I mean. Is what we're not buying them in their prime. We've brought them in with obviously loads of potential and upside, and he's now reached another level.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like I said, it's that virtuous circle thing of when other players see Arsenal making a signing with that intent, it makes us a more attractive proposition, and I feel like it's been that much easier to get others through the door with. And
to stay as well. To sign, young players want to look at Max Dowman and he cites Rice.
The influence he's had.
Yeah. Steph, what about you?
I've got two in mind, only because in the first sort of wave of Arteta's signings, I think what it did in terms of elevating the team with the quality on the pitch, but also the mindset, because they were already a winner, was Gabriel Jesus coming in. And that first half of that season when he first joined, he was just electric. But yeah, just lifted everyone. The other one, and especially because of the context around it, and because I will hold my hands up and couldn't necessarily sort of understand it, would be David Raya, who is exceptional. He's an exceptional goalkeeper, and we felt like it was only a marginal gain compared to Ramsdale, who we loved for a variety of reasons. And now, actually, he's been absolutely vindicated on that. And Arteta does get a lot of flack, and I realise that in some quarters, until he does have that silverware in his hand, will continue to get so. He probably hasn't earned the right, like Pep did, to park the bus against us a few weeks ago. But David Raya, he's certainly been vindicated on that because he's an exceptional goalkeeper. So, yeah. Yeah,
so it depends on how you interpret big, because impactful, because I made a note of Jesus and Zinchenko and also Ramsdale. Ramsdale really, I don't know, what's the word?
Galvanised?
But the link between the players and the fans. That
harmonised.
Or not just put a light under it, there was a real connection, and all of a sudden the toxicity was a distant memory. And I think that's important. And so people like Jesus and Zinchenko, for that reason as well, all of a sudden there was a real quality and professionalism in the players, and a desire and a passion, thinking, oh, this is so different to what we've been used to with Mustafi and David Luiz, and,
They made us believe, didn't they? And they made the players believe in the dressing room. Those stories of how they just said, no, don't just think you're competing for top four. You could win the league. And there are a few people laughing in the dressing room, and then they, a few months later, they're believing it.
And when you think, I think also sort of counts with some of the other personnel that was sort of brought through. I know they weren't necessarily his signings or whatever, but obviously the way Saka then kicked on with Smith Rowe, the one of our own, the supporting our own. You talk about that connection. I'd even put someone like Kieran Tierney in that a little bit. Players who you would never fault their effort, for any limitations.
Nice people.
And exactly, and Ramsdale fits into that as well. The profile, of the personality that you can absolutely get behind, because for what qualities they did have, you're never going to warm to a Pepe. And Aubameyang had that arrogance about him, although he could absolutely.
They weren't relatable.
Goals. No, not at all. So yeah, I get it.
And then obviously Rice, and I guess Rice tops the bill. I mean, again, I think we should visit this, but from the past summer's signings, there's a couple of candidates that Zubimendi or Eze could become one of those key, especially if this is the season that we actually win something big. We'll look at the catalyst is the word I was looking for.
There you
catalyst. Go. If you give me time, it arrives. I need an inbuilt internal catalyst for vocabulary selection or something like that. Anyway, okay. There's a lot of stats there about how we've been doing. It's an international break, so I thought it was a good time just to kind of draw a line under the previous 7 games. How do you feel, Chris? How do you feel about the 7 games we've had? I know we talked about it a little bit after the 6 games, but it's quite significant this weekend in that we have taken over at the top of the pile. And
I think it's been warranted. I think it's a fair reflection on us and Liverpool if we focus on them first. I do think the luck evens out, and I think this sample size of 7 games we're at the moment is fair, and we've seen that it wasn't sustainable for them, and we've been clearly performing better and could have done. The fact that we were moaning about going to Liverpool and getting narrowly defeated, rather than thinking, oh well, it's Liverpool, and ditto with the City game. We could have been on a 100% record, and no one could have had any complaints. So I think
that's the regret.
Well, but to regret it is a reflection on how good we're doing. We're not just sitting back and going, oh well, a point against City at home. Take that.
Yeah. I say I regret it, but I don't have that Brighton last season moment yet, or Fulham the season before, where it was early in the season and it's dropped points that you're thinking, that's gonna really bite us. I personally haven't had that moment yet. I know we lost at Anfield and we drew 1-1 at home to Man City, but even though there was, I mean, I've never felt. I celebrated Martinelli's goal, but I've never felt as underwhelmed scoring an injury time equaliser against Man City as I did walking away from the Emirates that day, which is, as you were saying, Chris, which is indicative of our high level and high expectation. Steph?
Yeah, when I think of the other teams that are just below us, City had a couple of losses early doors as I think they were getting used to, a different way of playing. De Bruyne has gone, and, they won again today as we record against
They're
Brentford.
A one-man team.
Yes, everything absolutely does filter through Haaland, but I think other players stepping up in order to feed him needed to happen, and Doku's having a better season. Foden's stepped up to the fore as well, but yeah, there is a fragility in that. If there is an injury that's long-term to Haaland, then they're going to have to do some problem solving again, but at the moment they're in good form. Tottenham have quietly gone under the radar to sit up there. They do seem to swing from one quite good performance to another one that's not so good, so whether that evens out. Bournemouth have been brilliant,
amazingly.
Well, yes, and Palace as well.
Well, considering the players Bournemouth lost in the summer.
Well, look at Palace selling us Eze to us as well, but they've got a system and it's absolutely working at the moment. Liverpool's the interesting case because obviously they've spent a lot of money. They come in as champions, but at the same time, us looking at it from the outside could see, as you say, Chris, that they were getting those late winners, and you did wonder it was always going to go one way or the other. Either they were going to start to click a little bit more in their performances and improve in that way, or it might get found out a little bit. And in the last week, we've sort of seen that can get found out. And they're a team with a thin, I don't know, a fragility maybe is what I'm trying to sort of say to it, because they're not well stacked in some areas. And in the other areas where you would say they are, there's players that are new to the team and trying to work things out. Add to that the loss of Trent, who I think did more for the way their team ran in certainly a control sense, you know, with his possession and his passing and his link-up play with Salah as well. And then the context away from the pitch. I can't imagine what it does to a team and a fan base to lose a player like Jota as well.
Yeah,
you know,
massive.
that soft factor, that shouldn't be made light of as well. And also, it's a thing with grief as well, isn't it? Where everywhere they go, there are those memorials, those flags, and there's things like that. And it's not, of course, you don't want to forget, but at the same time, that reminder, I wonder what it does, because it can overcharge you to try and honour that memory in a way, but at the other time as well could be
work against you.
Can work against you as well. That's the best way I can put it as well. So the thing with us, do I see us losing 3 games in a row? It would have to be against exceptional opposition or in exceptional circumstances. Last season I could see it because of the injuries that we got. And this season, you could argue our injury rate, game by game, is almost higher. They're probably not as long term, but like you say with that Odegaard stat earlier, 3 home games in a row be hooked before half time because of injury. I mean, that's just, how's he look? I feel so sorry for the guy. And yet, we've got the replacement there. And we've got a floor now that is so high that I just feel so much more relaxed.
We've actually got 2 replacements for him.
Yeah.
We've got Ethan and we've got Eza. Either can slip in. And Ethan would have played had Zubimendi started the game. I'm pretty sure it would have been Manieri who jumped in. That just the news on Odegaard is that he's got a medial cruciate, or such. The C is not cruciate. C is something else. I can't remember. Ligament injury. So in
Collateral.
Collateral. That's it. Yeah. Anything between 1 week and 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So pick a number. I'm assuming, just because Arsenal are being quite vague about it, that it's closer to the one, and they probably don't know yet. It's probably too soon. But you know,
Well,
he's got 2 weeks.
withdrawn from Norway.
Yeah, he's got 2 weeks now, and again, like we don't need to rush him back. He will want to play, obviously. I haven't heard Declan Rice hasn't pulled out the England squad, has he?
And he worries me almost as much as Odegaard because of the vagaries of back injuries. You remember when Saliba did his and we lost him for like 2 months, didn't we? Possibly more. So he'd run and got
he got tackled in front of us.
Tackle, and then, but he sort of jarred his back, didn't he, on landing? And you just don't know what that could be. So yeah, touch wood.
I'm sure he's fine. I mean, he was out on the pitch post final whistle, applauding everyone and the handshakes and so on.
In a brace.
In a brace, yeah. He was wheeled out. He was
those
wheeled
casts,
out.
you know, like in the Carry On films, head to toe cast plaster.
Well, let's talk about the West Ham game. As per the BBC website, our XG was 2.73, theirs was 0.49. We had 21 shots to their 4. They had none on target. I mean, just what the hell is Raya doing anyway? And we had
Nicking
5
a living.
shots. Yeah, we had 5 shots on target from 21 shots. I think there's a bit of an issue there. We had 46 touches inside their penalty box. They had 8 inside ours, and several of those were in the first minute when we conceded that early corner straight from their kickoff. We had 8 corners to their 3. That's about it. We hit the woodwork. We had a goal disallowed. You know, we could have been streets ahead by the time we got the second goal. It was a very, very similar to the Olympiacos 2-0 as well. I thought. I don't think we stretched ourselves. I think we didn't get out of second or third gear. It's not that we didn't want to score. But we were creating the chances, but we weren't ceding any chances at the back, which is
it worth
good.
touching on the selection?
Obviously the big talking point was the team news, because 2 weeks ago I challenged Arteta, and I know he obviously must be listening because he took up that challenge. I wonder if he will ever start with one of Rice and Zubimendi behind both of Odegaard and Eze. And when I saw it, I thought, wow, he has. And by and large, the mood music, the reaction to it was very positive. Chris, how did you when you saw the team news? What were your initial thoughts?
Well, pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect it, but I thought he'd start as a wide left in the Trossard position. So was keen to see how it played out, and obviously it didn't last very long. I actually think when Zubimendi came on, we looked more balanced. And I know it's a small sample size of the time that we saw Eze working with Odegaard, but
we could have been 3-0 up at the point Odegaard got injured.
Yes, but in general terms of the overview of the play, I don't think Eze had a good game by his standards.
He should have scored.
He should have scored for sure.
Okay, let me ask you this then, Chris. We got Fulham away after the international break. If you see the same, let's assume Odegaard's fit, right? Let's assume, just for the purpose of this argument. If you see the same team news for that game, how are you feeling?
Well,
Fulham
again,
away.
I think it's a bold move and it should work.
Is it necessary?
Is it necessary?
Is the risk necessary? Because the risk is that you leave yourself a bit...
Yeah, but we've
risk
talked
of being
about this
dominated
before,
in the midfield?
We've talked about this before, about having faith in those who are behind them, and I don't feel like we're exposed in any way. I just think, are we making the most maybe with Rice when he was in the more advanced position? I think they covered this a bit on Match of the Day, where they showed how once he'd pushed forward 10 or 15 yards in a more sort of in his favoured left 8, he was more... He got the goal, and he was just more active in that position. So for me, it's a sort of move that I expect to see during the game. It's a sort of sub move rather than a starting move, unless you are going from the off on the offensive. I don't expect him to start Fulham with that setup.
Okay, Steph, do you think it leaves us a little bit vulnerable, or was it worth giving it a go to just plant the seed of doubt in the opposition managers' minds, future managers' minds?
That's what we spoke about before the game in the concourse, about the message it sends that Arsenal aren't necessarily going to set up in the way that some opposition managers might think, playing two creative 10s essentially. I think for the context of the West Ham game, here's a team, they're in the relegation zone, they've just changed their manager, things not going so well for them, but we're at home doing pretty well. And they're gonna look, if it's based on a Nuno team as well, and his team, he loves to that soak up pressure and then break really quick. That's what he's done, and he did so successfully at Forest and even Wolves going back as well. That if you're gonna do it for a game, it would be that. But like you say, Chris, this is interesting as well, because the amount of people that were debating it, and then ultimately we had such a small sample size that some people could probably argue that that's the way to go, and then other people would argue that's maybe not the way to go, and really, we don't know. So I did feel like we looked a lot more balanced when Zubimendi came on, but again, it's about the games that come up. You asked Chris about the Fulham game. For me, no, that's not a game to play two creative 10s, because you're away, and I would want that little bit more.
Unless you're losing and then you change it.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
That.
Exactly.
Okay, but if you're away, the onus is on Fulham to come at you. So that will surely leave more space, more vulnerability in their defensive third that we can exploit with our more creative players.
Arguably, yes, but we now have a reputation as one of the big teams, so that's not always going to play out that way. And also, those two...
Even more of a reason then to play the two.
Well,
10s.
but ultimately those two, we're not really pace merchants. Gyokeres, runs
Martinelli
valiantly.
on the left instead
Martinelli,
of
if you bring him in on the left, is
Madueke.
really the only player. Well, yeah, but Madueke's injured, so that won't work for Fulham. That's what I mean. Where even Odegaard was hasn't for the last 2 games. He was very good against Olympiacos, but he wasn't snapping into the press with the same intensity that he has done in the past. And that might be because he's still recovering from shoulder injuries, but he did seem to drift a bit more centrally and approach it differently. So I don't know. I like the fact that we can mix it up and we've just got those options. And I like the fact that we've got a manager who's willing to try that, rather than just rigidly sticking to what's predictable.
Yeah, I heard a Liverpool fan talk about the difference between Slot this season and Slot last season, and trying to understand why it wasn't quite working as well. And this Liverpool fan was kind of imploring Slot to go back to last season, where his substitute, he feels like he's overthinking everything this season. Now, I don't know. I can't tell you one substitution that Slot's made. It's not my team. I don't care. But the way he couched it was last season he was making changes or selections that, as a fan sitting in the ground or on your way to the ground, when you heard it, you were thinking, yeah, that's what I'd have done. That makes sense. And I'm just thinking, because I had the question 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I was like, I'd love to see it. And you try it in a home game against a team who is struggling. So I thought it was the perfect game to try it. And to be fair, I know that if Odegaard hadn't got injured, Rice wouldn't have been in that position to score the opening goal of the game. He just wouldn't. He would have been in the 6. He would have been a lot deeper. As Eze would have been in that position, and he may well have scored it this time. He had a very similar. His was actually an easier chance really than the Rice one. He was closer in, but we were creating chances. We were cutting them, as deep and low block as they were. We were cutting them open. Timber should have scored.
Mm-hmm.
Eze should have scored. Sorry?
Calafiori off the post.
Oh, Calafiori hit the post. Yeah, and that was a great effort. I wouldn't put that down as should have scored. He was unlucky there. But that was after the change had been made. So, but before that, we had the goal disallowed before the change was made. And so I was just thinking, for me, it was like you said, Steph, if I want to use it as evidence in support of it, I can. There's enough there, enough happened in that first 25 minutes for me to think, do you know what, we're playing all right. We haven't scored, but we're creating chances. And that's not always been the case in a home game against West Ham, i.e. last season.
But also against West Ham.
Yeah.
Is he doing that against Palace in whatever it is, 3 weeks' time at home?
Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, I don't know. But the thing is, will Palace be expecting it? No, they won't. So again, I'm pretty sure that Nuno was there thinking, right, crap, let's have a quick rethink here. Right, they've got 2 number 10s. Who's going to pick up Eze? Because he's got a very different game to Rice, who they would have expected to have been playing in that position. So I'm sure it would have created a little bit of uncertainty in Nuno's mind, but also in his team's defensive setup, which that's what you want, really. If we're walking to the game thinking, he's not going to do it against Spurs when Spurs come in a few weeks' time. He's not going to do that.
Or is he?
Yeah, well, this is it, exactly. Exactly. So I had another question. I had a follow-up question, but I can't remember what it was. So
I'll just chuck in while you're thinking, because one thing I noticed with Rice was that we had a break on, and it's the Nuno's West Ham thing that made me think of it, is that maybe Arteta was already aware that they play that quick counter, in that we had the ball, and it's something we've complained about, is letting them reset, letting the opposition reset. And I saw Rice literally say to them, hold it, when we had a chance to break. It was as if the instructive was, don't, when there's still 6 of them in our half. And he let them, it was like a circulation again in midfield. There's a lot of that. I don't know if you guys noticed that a lot of that go back before we come forward again in yesterday's game. And it was
more so than previous games.
I think, well, it was the first time I'd noticed someone, visibly make that gesture of hold it, wait.
That's because he was worried that he'd be left 1v5 as the sole pivot, as the sole defensive midfielder.
When there was clearly a chance to break, but it would have meant that we were leaving ourselves open for the counter.
Because of where you sit in the ground, Chris, let me ask you this one. Because whilst all the conversation about the Rice as a Odegaard midfield was upbeat and positive, that conversation, the one selection which definitely was not positive was the selection of Trossard on the left. Now, because his game was closer to us in the second half, he actually played okay in the second half. My sense is that he had a pretty innocuous first half performance, but he would have been closer to you.
Yeah.
How was his first half performance?
The thing was, we were using the right a lot more in the first half. From what I could see, if I could see one of those heat maps, I'm sure it would justify that. But it just wasn't getting exploited as much on the left. We were focusing more on the right. Whether that's an Odegaard thing or not, I don't know. But in the left, coming on your side, in the second half, we did seem to use the left a lot more. So,
Arteta instruction, perhaps, as well.
Possibly, yeah. I didn't notice him having a particularly bad game. I just noticed that we weren't coming down the left as often.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would still have preferred Martinelli, of the players available, to have started on the left-hand side. I think he's earned it as well. I think he's full testament to him, because there was a player playing without confidence 3 weeks ago, and he's completely transformed himself.
Yeah.
Like it's feast or famine, isn't it? Like, I would still have Madueke or Eze play ahead of him, but Martinelli, in the absence of those two on the left-hand side, Martinelli would be next up for me. Trossard, for me, he's a brilliant squad player, and I'd have him off the bench every game. Every game, he's just more effective for me. You said something, Steph, about something he said about a game last year or the year before, where he was sat on the bench watching.
Oh, the Villa game.
He knew when he came on. He's an intelligent player. You get that sense that he does think deeply about the game as it's playing out in front of him. And I think that in itself is a weapon to have off the bench. Somebody has got the, he's not just staring around the ground or picking his nose on the bench. He's looking at the game and looking at the patterns of play in the position that he is most likely to come on for in the last 30 minutes, thinking, well, how am I going to impact the game? I can see what that fullback's doing. How am I going to manipulate that to my benefit once I get on the pitch? And that's probably why he is such an effective substitute, because he has that. And I can't remember, do other players do that? I don't know. I mean,
you would hope so.
Yeah, I'm not sure they do. I think they're told what to do, but I think Trossard's clearly got his own mind, and that's in that sense that's a useful weapon for us to use. No, I don't know.
One thing I liked, which I didn't notice at the time, only saw it when I came back and watched the game again, was he was the first to go to Eze and tell him basically chin up after he missed that chance as well. So I quite like that. Everyone's on each other's side. Yeah. There's no blame game, or we're in it together. He was I don't know, was it before the game? He was interviewed like at this training centre, like a relaxed sit down affair interview, and he commented that when you know that there are such quality players on the bench in your position, you up your game. And look at him and Martinelli, guaranteed starters last season. All right, one of them's a guaranteed starter at the moment because of the players we've got out. But they know, unless they perform, as soon as that player's back, that player's in. But that player, I mean, he's earned his start, I guess. Was he our top goal and assist before Saturday? I think, what's he got? 2 goals and 3 assists or something, or I don't know, I can't remember now. I wrote in
it
all
down.
comps, because he's obviously contributed in the Champions League, hasn't he?
Yeah. Okay. Anything to say about the second half? Could have done with an earlier second goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Can we talk about Gyokeres?
I was saving it for
points?
the.
Were you saving that?
I was just that's fine. We can talk about it. I was saving it for the 5 questions. But Gyokeres, there was a bit of a debate going around Arsenal social media this weekend about, there was a bloke on Sky, and I've seen him crop up, an Arsenal fan on Sky, and I've seen him crop up on TikTok on the algorithm, and he was slagging him off. He was saying he doesn't hold the ball up, he doesn't work hard. I'm like, well, he certainly works hard.
I think those are the things that he is doing at the minute.
Yeah. Is that enough?
Well, this is the thing. I was very much on the side of he's got more to his game than I realised. He's working really hard. He has come from a very different league where he could probably have things his way a little bit more. But then I saw an argument against that, focusing just on the fact that what we bought him for was his goal contributions. We've got players who can play well, hold up the ball, but they ultimately have limited goal contributions, whether that's Jesus when he's fit, whether that's Havertz in the past as well. The reason we bought Gyokeres was for his scoring of goals. I myself like what he's doing at the moment. I think it helps the team a little bit more as well. We complained so much last year that teams would have to put 2 or 3 players on Saka and essentially shut us down. But he is occupying defenders a lot more. And there was that, I think it was the Eze chance where the cross is put in and it's slightly behind him and he has to turn as the defender's sort of wrestling with him and he gets a foot on it and then it's kind of like bouncing around or whatever. But essentially what he's done is forced all of the back line back quite far. So Eze is able to occupy that space that then left. All right, he blazes it over the bar. But the centre forward...
The Rice goal as well.
Yeah, Gyokeres has taken them back that far to places they don't really want to go and feel comfortable. So I can see where there's a trade-off there. So
me and you were chatting about it during the game, and you were saying, "Oh, he's working hard," and I'm like, "That's not enough. That's not
quite.
This is the game we got him. These are the games we bought him to score goals in, not work hard. That's the bare minimum you expect from your striker." However, the argument you've just said there, I had seen it online, and it was. I thought, yeah, do you know what? That's the one argument I can get behind, and remain patient with him. The goals will come kind of thing, which is that he does occupy 2 of their central defenders. He does, because he's an absolute nuisance, and he puts himself about, and he constantly puts himself about right up until the very last minute. He's the goals. The goals will come. He was unlucky. He hit the post against Olympiacos. That would have been a goal from. That would have been nice if that had gone in. I mean, it went in up with Martinelli, but it would have been nice had his, because he created that himself, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm not on his back at all, and I'm not thinking there's a waste of money, or I'm not casting envious glances towards Old Trafford and Sesko with his 2 goals. But
and he's cheaper than Sesko and half the price of Isak, so you know, we'll wait on that. I was just going to say then, slightly counter to that was, during the game, I spoke about how the chance that he had where I think it was Trossard played a quick ball over the top that Rice ran into the channel for, very reminiscent of the Eze assist he gave Gyokeres in the Leeds game. And I was then saying, we need to create more of those chances for Gyokeres. And at the time, in the ground, with our perspective quite low down in the corner, I thought it was one of those, you know, he's put out a leg and he's stretched, and I thought, it's one of, you know, if we fed him 2 or 3 of those, you know, you'd hope one of them would go in. Watching it back, when I got back, seeing his run.
Yeah, his run was wrong.
I feel like
it was a lack of confidence.
Was it a lack of confidence? I think it was a lack of confidence. He didn't attack it with the impetus I thought he would.
He ran further away from the ball.
He sort of moved at a slight angle rather than... Yeah, exactly. And I feel like you say, whether it's a confidence thing, whether he wasn't sure, he thought maybe it's Declan Rice. It's not going to... Could it be hit with a bit more power? Not sure. But there was something in the run that checked a little bit that meant he then wasn't able to get there. And that was an interesting one to see, which obviously I didn't see at the time. I mean,
his reaction when he hit the turf might well have been that.
Oh,
not
he'll
that
know.
He missed, not that he missed the ball, that he thought, I should have... I made the wrong decision there. I didn't go... I stayed more central. I didn't attack the near post where... And it would have been any contact on the ball there, and it was in.
Oh yeah.
Should Saka have given him the penalty?
Chris, No, and I think it's good because...
Hang on, Havertz, you two were banging on about how Havertz deserved to get that penalty
Well, we've
against
got
Bournemouth.
two perfectly good penalty takers, and
We did
for
that
me,
day as well.
I just felt that, well, it was clearly not a sympathy thing. Oh, no, you take it, Vic, because you need another goal. It was just, I think it was more about Saka and his 100 for me. It was, I'll have it. So it didn't bother me at all.
So he shouldn't have given it to Gyokeres.
No.
Okay, Steph.
He shouldn't have given it to Gyokeres, but I can understand why there'd be a chat. It'd be interesting to know what the pecking order is, because usually teams have that. No, I don't mind that. What I was quite pleased with, that it didn't turn into a big thing. There's a video you can find online of where Chelsea, as a squad, seemed to argue over taking the penalty that Madueke was involved in as well. Which
Cole
is
Palmer took it, didn't he?
Absolutely mad. So I like the fact there was that. And then again, noticing afterwards, because obviously we were just celebrating the goal, that, you know, Gyokeres went and celebrated with him. He didn't sulk. He'll be annoyed he didn't get his goal, and I'm sure he would. And I like he'll want to be on the penalties. It's a healthy thing to have as long as it doesn't boil over. So
I think
as
well, for me, he seems to have a really good temperament. You know, he was getting battered against Newcastle and he never got sulky. He'd look to the ref, but he never got sulky and kind of demonstrative in that kind of way that meant he was losing his cool. I mean, it's that Scandinavian, you know.
I was going to say, is he a bit emotionless? But
But
in a
good.
Terminator kind of way.
I like it, though. I
Yeah.
like it because he's just focused. The fact that he came in and wanted the 14 shirt, the fact that he's just, I'm here to score goals. There's no mucking around with him. He's, what you see is what you get kind of thing. I like that. So I think for me, the penalty for him, they don't need to pander to him and go, oh, do you want to take this one? No, I'll have it because I'm on 100 goals and assists, for...
And Havertz
as
hadn't
simple as
scored at all.
That was pure sympathy.
Different context. Yeah.
I just thought I'd ask. Oh God, I've lost that as well. Before I get on to the five questions. I did, just on the final thing on Gyokeres, I did think in the first half he needed to be a bit stronger. He seemed to go to ground quite easily at the minimal contacts, and he'd go to ground, and you're thinking, like, you could hear people shout and get up around us. Second half, I didn't notice that at all. I thought he kind of stood up to the physical battle a lot more in the second half. Maybe just because it was in front of us, I could kind of observe it a little bit more closely. But anyway, I mean, the goals will come again. Like, he's got some decent opposition coming up for him to open his account with. I hope he doesn't play both games in the international break, because he has played quite a lot of football for us.
He will,
and,
though, won't
and he is, it's high octane football for him. It really is.
Yeah.
Yes, and sprinting in the 90th minute and little sprints and.
Well, I mean, I don't know who Sweden are playing, but we did mention in the last international break that some players might be going to their countries for something of a bit of a relief, because it might lack a little bit of intensity. I'm just looking here. I know I can see they've got one game at home to Kosovo, so you can't imagine that being.
Is that a friendly?
The most intense. No, it's a qualifier, World Cup qualifier, and I don't know who the other one is, but yeah, he can probably play without, or with a little less burden, perhaps. And Isak presumably is going to go there and get some minutes on his legs as well.
And a little slight muscle strain with anyone.
Actually, I'm not sure that might help Liverpool.
Yeah, true.
Because then they can just
true.
pick Ekatike and just go with that.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, who was your man of the match?
Rice.
Steph?
Zubimendi.
Oh, right, okay. I thought we were going to do rice, baby. Thought you were going to say rice as well, Steph, and I'd just say baby, but you ruined it. Yeah, I picked Rice as well as my man of the match. Steph, what's your kind of positive takeaway from the game?
Top of the league, clean sheet.
Nice.
What can you
Succinct.
do?
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah. For me, the display of squad depth and no drop-off.
Bloody need it.
Even like an augmentation of, like I said, I thought we were better when Zubimendi came on. shape-wise. But yeah, squad depth.
Yeah. Compared to last season, routine home win was my positive takeaway. Stress-free.
Red Action, the Arsenal supporters group, put out a tweet saying titles are built on a foundation of boring, forgetful 2-0 wins. So, yeah.
It's going to happen, boys.
Here's to a few more of them. Don't go too early.
Disappointing aspect or takeaway? Disappointing one, Chris?
Odegaard. From yesterday, you can't really see. I can't see past that. I just feel so sorry for him, as you said.
Steph?
I've got injury luck down there as well, because I'm also, like you, Chris, worried about Declan Rice. The other one I've put down, and this is really nitpicking, but I feel like it's worth mentioning when results go our way. They missed 2 and 1 quite bad handballs. We saw it in the ground and couldn't believe that they didn't even have a look at it. And when I've watched it since, I can't believe they didn't give it as a foul.
Absolutely. It was
There's a blatant handball at one point by a West Ham player as a ball's played through kind of channel. Now, there was another one, another instance where a ball kind of bounces up and hits a player's arm. I wouldn't want that given, but it was there, and it would be given if it was a European competition, because that seems to be the threshold. Whereas that other one, when the ball's played through and the player's running and his arm
deliberately handled
his arm hits the ball, I found that very odd. That it wasn't even looked at.
And it was only 1-0 at the time. It was the start of the second half, first part of the second half. So it was a kind of a crucial, could have been a crucial goal for us at that point.
Absolutely.
Chris, did you give you did, yeah? And I've said Odegaard injury as well as my disappointing takeaway. Okay, which player impressed Chris?
Zubi. For me, Zubi, just because when he came on, he slotted straight in and basically dictated. He was just on it. Yeah, I was watching him closely. Yeah, he really is.
Steph?
I've got 2. One, which is more broad, because I think he's quietly been probably our best player of the season so far, and that's Jurriën Timber.
I was going to say, you're yelling Timber.
Yeah, exactly, Timber. Yes, he got fouled for the penalty, which continued into the box for anyone debating that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can you just look at the touch he makes to take that on the turn, and then remind yourself that that's our right back doing that?
Yeah.
He did similar for the chance he missed in the first half as well.
Yeah. He is very good, because our thing has always been, okay, he's maybe not as attack minded as Ben White, and I think Ben White has a slenderness that some sprinters perhaps have, or sort of middle distance runners, where he seems to negate that speed going up and down the wing, whereas Timber has quietly also added some really good attacking parts
this season
to his
I think
game
he has added,
very much so.
Yeah.
And it might be just from the relationships he's building with other players in the team, I don't know, but he's been really good. The other one I want to mention is because, again, there's this thing about my perception of the game from my seat. I wasn't overly whelmed by Saka's performance in the ground. Since watching it back, it was actually really quite good at just knitting things together. He wasn't on the end of things, but there were some passages of play where he would basically instigate an attack from deep, from receiving the ball and being able to feed people in. I think he's the pre-assist, if you want to go down that route, to the Rice goal and all these kinds of things. Holding players off, turning them, little touches. Really good. Yeah, I really just quietly went about it. Nothing showy, but that's his thing, isn't it? You know, nothing showy for 89 minutes and then score a goal. So I know it was a penalty.
Took his penalty really well.
Took his penalty very well.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. I also put Zubimendi, Chris. Has impressed most. Which player, Chris, could have done more?
Oh, I feel bad now because we've touched on him, but it's Gyokeres for me. Just for all the reasons we've said, I don't really need to go over it again. But I'm behind him all the way. You know, I don't think he's a bum deal at all.
Steph,
I've got Gyokeres, and then on my thing it says Gyokeres brackets unfairly. And like you say, it's that thing of when I remember being in that Palace away end when it really turned on the Wenger team, because what we were seeing was a lack of effort. Can't say that about Gyokeres. He is busting a gut, so fine. I've put another one on there. I've just put Gabriel's start. Gabriel's start was quite shaky in the first few minutes. There was a clearance that went literally just straight up, and a couple of he tried to see the ball out by doing that defender shielding thing.
Ended up on his arse, and
ended up on his arse, and the West Ham player got away. So I was just like, whatever, he perhaps needed some smelling salts or something at the start of the game to bring him round. He wasn't quite there to begin with, but nitpicking at the end of the day.
Well, it is a case of if not Gyokeres, then who else?
Well,
you picked the start of the game for Gabriel.
Yeah, the first 3 minutes for Gabriel.
Yeah, the only alternative player. So again, I've got Gyokeres because we bought him to score the goals.
Yeah. I still get the heebie-jeebies with Calafiori off the ball as well. I don't
as a right winger.
Well, wherever he is, or in goal, or wherever he decides to put himself. I've said it before. I think he's a great player on the ball. It's just when he's off the ball, when he's at left back, traditional left back, he gets turned too easily. He's too square for me. Timber, conversely, so good in that terrier-like way that he just hounds.
Never goes to ground.
No, he doesn't have to.
He's just so clever with his, like you say, body position.
That's the Ajax thing. The way they train them, they're like ballerinas. They're just absolute. The balance, everything is so well synced.
He's really stocky and solid. Like
that's my fullback. I like a fullback in that mould.
He's built like a middleweight boxer.
Yeah, but with that low centre of gravity, he never seems to get turned in that way.
Shout out to Ken, who I know and comes to games with us on the bus, who has nicknamed Calafiori as Towelo Calafiori.
Yeah.
There was a big cheer when he
got his towel out.
Towel.
It's like pantomime.
We didn't mention that after the Newcastle game. Was it the Newcastle game? It was.
It was.
I mean,
because he took the keeper's towel.
Utterly ridiculous was that from the referee.
Petty.
No, give it back to him. Give it back to him.
Yeah, it's not yours. Did you ask nicely?
Put it back where you found it.
Apparently, there is some stupid protocol and things like that. I know. Well, it's like I know. We might do a pod in the week looking at the other games, but Maresca getting a yellow card for celebrating his team's winner in the injury time. I don't know. There's something.
That's wrong.
It's just weird, isn't it? Like letter of the law.
It's not like he was goading the opposition. He went to hug his players.
Yeah.
It feels
good on him.
You left your technical area.
It's not in the right spirit, is it?
But what annoys me is people like Shearer will be doing that, and then if Arteta does the same thing, it would be like, or Gary. Maybe not Shearer's a bit unfair, maybe, but Gary Neville certainly.
Yeah, back in your box.
Yeah.
Well, they're over celebrating. That and all that kind of
too emotional.
That things, yeah. Well, I mean, we say that, and obviously Slot got praised for his temperament and everything last year, but he got a yellow card in the game, and he was pointing at the officials in the Palace game. When it's not going his way, he's just like every other manager. Every other manager.
Yes, Steph, we will do later in the week a podcast where we look at the other teams and how they're faring, the first 7 games of the season. Have we got anything else to share with the thousands watching online?
I've got a thought that I've thought. It's something that's occurred to me a few times. It is to do with
that you've thought.
I thought that I've thought, but it is to do with football. It's not something like my washing machine's on the blink or whatever, which it is. No, it's more to do with when Arteta in the presses, and it goes back years. Remember the game when he was kind of bemused by the fact that we didn't win because we'd slung in 30 corners or something. And that worried me then. Alarm bells rang then as if he was trying to justify, well, we should have won because we put so many corners in. And whenever he says we dominated a game or we've controlled a game, I always think, well, if the opposition sets up to let you have the ball and you've got 70% possession and they've set up in such a way to push you wide so that all you can do is sling crosses in, that's not, in a way, they are controlling you.
Yeah.
So I'm just conscious of the vernacular, the way that he phrases things sometimes, and that's my only kind of concern when I hear it mentioned, the words control and domination, because I do think there's a sort of vagary there.
Did you hear it for this game?
Yeah. Oh, he said
but
several times we dominate. Yes, we did. We got and we won. And so you can justify it by saying we won, but it's when you roll it out and maybe you haven't won,
Well,
but you say, well,
we had 21 attempts at goal
and we
in
won
the game. No, but even if we hadn't, 2 seasons ago, we had 30 attempts on goal against West Ham and lost the game.
But there are instances where this happens where we haven't done enough, clearly, and that just slinging crosses in is not a justification enough to say we've dominated, we've controlled.
I think that happened a lot last season, absolutely. So, but have you heard him say it in that same kind of scenario this season?
Well, I don't know. If I was one of those kind of people that would go back and listen to, say, the post City and post Liverpool maybe, and think, well, did he say anything like that then? I don't know. But it's just something that's occurred to me. It's sort of gnawing away that a team can set up to let you have control. You think you're controlling, but actually they are. That's my...
Well, Pep said... He came to the Emirates defensive-minded.
he
No, he didn't say that. He talked about
they went defensive.
Arsenal made us play that way. Now he could be, protecting his players and protecting his tactics and this, that, and the other. But that was kind of what he said. Yeah.
But a classic Forest team, for example, under Nuno, would never have more than 40% possession, I would imagine, because that's the way they set out.
Well, Leicester won the title doing that, having less than 50% possession. Soak up pressure.
Another season we finished second.
Hit on the counter. Yeah, well, there you go.
Anyway, right. That's not bad if that's the only thing gnawing away at you, Chris. That's all right.
Well, there is the washing machine, but another time.
But the gnome has survived the first 7 games of the season.
He has. He's wobbled a few times, but he's still got his head.
Well, I think that if you were watching the West Ham game at home, the gnome would have copped it after 30 minutes, possibly.
I was all right. In the West Ham game.
Right, excellent. Well, thanks for the chat, gentlemen. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Look out for a pod. I don't know what day we'll do it, but Thursday, Friday, later on in the week anyway. Enjoy watching all the international football. Keep everything crossed that all the Arsenal players come back as healthier than we sent them off in, because they might be a little bit battered and bruised, some of them. And have a great few days, whatever you're up to, and see you next time. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
See ya.
The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app, and find us on your socials at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by the Podcast Company.